This next video is called Bluff Your Way Through Completing the Square. Okay, you might have just watched the video about bluffing your way through factoring. Okay, completing the square is another pretty challenging procedure in the quadratics chapter that a lot of people have trouble with and may have learned more than once and never really understood it or gotten the hang of it. Okay, so for those people who maybe don't want to make the investment in actually learning the completing the square procedure, there's a way to arrive at the answer pretty easily and maybe get most of the points that they're going to give you for completing the square. Okay, so the important thing about completing the square is if you have a formula or a quadratic equation that you have completed the square for, it's going to look something like this. Okay, maybe there's going to be a number here too. Okay, and so what are the characteristics of this equation here? Well, it might have a number here that's not 1, okay, and it's going to probably have a number here with a maybe subtracted, maybe added, and then it's also going to have a number here. Okay, what do these numbers physically mean? Well, actually, this form, which is the result when you complete the square, is also called vertex form. Okay, vertex form of a quadratic equation is in this form. Okay, why is it called vertex form? Oh, you can probably guess that the reason why it's called vertex form is because it contains the vertex in explicitly. So you can just look at it and say, oh, the vertex of this parabola is 2, 4. The vertex here is 2, 4. Okay, and you might think, oh, wait a second, but there's a negative here. Isn't it negative 2, 4? Well, the standard form for vertex form already has the negative here. So if it's minus 2, it's actually minus positive 2. So the positive 2 is actually the x-coordinate, not negative 2. And the maybe even more confusing is the standard form for the y coordinate is plus the y coordinate. So when it's plus 4, it's positive 4. Okay, the way this is typically written is like this. Okay, where h and k is the vertex. So you kind of just have to pattern match. You look at this, you pattern match it with this one. You say, oh, the h corresponds to the 2, etc. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. Okay, so how do I complete the square and get this? Oh wait, that's too hard to do. Guess what? You can write the vertex form just by finding the vertex. And actually the easiest way to find the vertex is not completing the square. The easiest way to find the vertex is to look on the Math.SL formula sheet and see that there's a formula they give you. You don't even have to memorize it, which is the formula to find the axis of symmetry. Okay, that is the formula for the axis of symmetry. What's the axis of symmetry? Well, when you have a parabola, the axis of symmetry is the vertical line which goes through the middle of the parabola and intersects the vertex. If you know the equation for the axis of symmetry, then you know the x-coordinate of the vertex. And if you know the x-coordinate of the vertex, guess how you find the y-coordinate of the vertex? This is like, I think, not intuitive for a lot of people, but this is something you learned back in 6th or 7th grade. If you know one of the coordinates, let's say you know this coordinate, let's say it's like 5 or something, the way you find the other coordinate is you just substitute it in for all the places where it says x and then do the calculation. Okay? Maybe it's easier if I just show you how to do it. Okay, so this is the equation which is going to give us the x-coordinate of the vertex. Okay, so what's b? b is negative 4, like we saw in the last video. Negative 4 is the b value, and the a value is 6. Okay, and now we're going to substitute that in there. Okay, we're going to put b equals negative 4 and a equals 6, and then we're going to find out what the x-coordinate is of the vertex. Negative of minus 4 divided by 2 times 6. And that will give us positive 4 divided by 12. And you can go ahead and leave it like that if you're bad at reducing fractions. IB doesn't really care about that. But if you want to reduce it, it's 1/3. Okay, so the x-coordinate is 1/3. Okay, now how do we find the y-coordinate? Well, actually, to find the y-coordinate, all we need to do is substitute x equals 1/3 in for that x, and out pops the y-coordinate. So let's try that. Y equals 6 times 1/3 squared minus 4 times 1/3 minus 10. Okay, and then just to make the algebra a little, this isn't even algebra, it's just calculation, but I know that people have some trouble with it. Okay, so it's going to be 6 divided by 9, okay? 6 times 1 times 1 is 6, 3 times 3 on the denominator is 9, okay? Minus 4 over 3, minus 10, okay? You might have trouble adding these together, but if you get to this point, that's pretty good. Maybe you'll have the calculator available to you. But if you're doing it by hand, this is how you're going to do it. And if you don't know how to do this yet, then we got some vacation work to do. 2 minus 4 is -2, -32. Okay? So that's the y-coordinate. And so you can see it's like, man, that would have been a pretty difficult completing the square problem. Okay? So our vertex turns out to be 1/3, comma, -32/3 if I didn't make some kind of mistake. Okay, and then how do I now pretend that I know how to complete the square? So what I do is I write out the vertex form here. So I'm going to put x minus 1/3, and I'm going to put plus -32/3. Okay, and I'm almost done. The only thing I'm missing is this number that goes up front, this a here. How am I supposed to figure out what a is? Well, the lucky thing is, a is always the same. If you're in vertex form, the a is the same as the standard form. So if it's 6 there, you just put 6 there. And I'm done. Okay, so for those of you who have trouble with completing the square, this is how you can go right to the answer. And maybe they're not going to give you full credit for that, but you can get most of the points. And a lot of times they do not explicitly say by completing the square, they just say put it in vertex form. So easiest way to put it in the vertex form is usually just figure out what the vertex is and substitute it in, not complete the square.